It is your Classic Metal Show right here on theclassicmetalshow.com. That's a brand new tune from the band Hurtsmile. A tune is called Anymore Don't Want My Love. That's from their brand new release called Retrograde. And on the phone right now, we've got the guitarist of the band and probably known as the other guy in most circles, but I would tend to say the most talented guy in the band. It's the one, the only, it's Mark Cherone. Mark, how are you, man?
Yeah, I'm doing good, Chris. Thanks for having me, bro.
Sure, man. Well, Mark, Retrograde picks up where the last one left off. Rather, it's got a lot of different styles to it. It's got a lot of energy to it, but it's unpredictable, literally from song to song. So I'll start there and say congratulations on keeping it interesting.
Yeah, we're pretty happy with it. We just get into practice from and start writing, and sometimes we're sitting here going, "Geez, this one's even weirder than the last one," and but we get off on that, so
sure,
that's what we do.
Absolutely. Well, Mark, before we get too far into it, for a lot of people, this could very well be their first experience with Hurtsmile. Talk a little bit about the band, how you guys got together, and how you went from the first record to this record, as you guys have progressed.
Well, Gary and I, have had parallel careers our whole life. He's been with Extreme, and I've been with a couple bands during his Extreme time. I was with Flesh for a long time, and then I did another band called Super Zero. And then about 8 years ago or less, we started jamming together on a Who band we did. We were doing the songs of the Who, and which was a lot of fun. And then that turned into exchanging ideas and showing him guitar riffs and him showing me lyrics. And we brought in Dana Spellman on drums and Joe Pescia on bass, and we had ourselves a band. So it was very organic. I really didn't think much about it as it was happening. We were just writing songs with my brother, and but it really snowballed, and it was a lot of fun to do.
Sure. Well, Mark, having Gary in the band, no secret, Gary's had a humongous history, in the hard rock world, be it with Extreme, with Van Halen, even Tribes of Judah had its moment. He's had a big history. With that said, how difficult is it to get people to judge Hurtsmile on its own merits instead of against everything that they've heard Gary do in the past?
That's the $1 million question. But I don't know if it's my job to answer that. I just keep my head down and write and try to do a good job at my contribution to the band. I understand if there's Extreme fans or the Van Halen fans, if they're not into side projects, or everyone's got their own feelings about it. But the funny thing is, I'm a fan of Extreme. Okay. This isn't. I love it. I loved the last album they did, and that kind of. We were in the middle of making our first album, and Gary had to take a break and go do an album with Extreme and a tour. Mm-hmm. But I loved it. So I understand where fans are coming from if they just like what they like and they don't want to try anything new. But the circles I run into, I get a lot of pats on the back, and they listen to Hurtsmile and they check it out. I'm surprised, but they check it out and they give me thumbs up, and that's good enough for me.
Sure. Now, Mark, for you personally, does Hurtsmile fulfill something that you always wanted to do? And just for whatever reason, whether it was the chips didn't line up or whether it was the fact that Gary was famous and people saw you as the little brother instead of as an individual musician or what have you. Does this project fulfill your ability to actually step out and be seen in your own light as a guitar player, instead of simply being judged as Gary Cherone's brother?
Yeah, that's a great question. I when I started doing it with him, and then I realized that we were going to make an album, we were going to do shows, I couldn't tell if it was going to be more this is Gary's brother or less. I mean, I'm always Gary's little brother no matter what I do. if I'm working with him or I'm not working with him, because Gary, cast a nice big shadow with his popularity and all the things he's done. So I've, as I've gotten older, I understand what's going on. He's an incredible musician and performer, and he's got millions of fans. And anyone who works with him is going to say, "Hey, that's Gary's working with that guy." And until I get my own number one single, I'm always going to be Gary's younger brother. But it's just an opportunity to work with great musicians for me, basically, and that's it fulfills that need to work with top-notch guys and try to keep up with them. But I have aspirations to do things apart from Hurtsmile. It's just a matter of time. I hope Hurtsmile does a third album. But I have songs that for me aren't Hurtsmile oriented, and I would love to record those and get those out. So we're always hungry in this family.
Sure, and it really cannot be that bad of a thing to be every time people talk about you to say, yeah, to compare you in the same light as Nuno Bettencourt and Eddie Van Halen. That can't suck much as a guitar player either, can it?
No. The only thing I have in common with Eddie Van Halen is that I own a guitar, and that Gary Cherone is my third singer. That's the only thing I got going. But that definitely was intimidating. When Gary and I started getting together and we're putting some songs together and we're writing a set list, I'm like, oh, geez, I hope he doesn't throw any of the tough ones in there,
Right.
Because if we did any of the extreme catalog, but he's taking it easy on me. But I worship those guys, Nuno and Eddie. They're the best of the best right there.
Sure. Well, Mark, let's talk a little bit about Retrograde. It is, like I said at the beginning, it is such a wildly diverse record, and I have to assume, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I have to assume that a lot of that comes directly from you as the guitar player wanting to explore different styles and different flavors on guitar. And I mean, it really jumps through. If you listen to a song like Rock and Roll Cliché, clearly that's old-fashioned kick-ass metal, but then you dig a little bit deeper into a song like Where Do We Go From Here as an example, which is, my God, that sounds like it's got a little bit of 70s Leonard Skinner type of flavor to it, and it's got so much 70s type of a guitar vibe to it. It's a completely different reach. So I'm curious, for you, does Retrogrenade give you a lot of that opportunity to stretch out, or do you kind of follow the path of the other guys when all the music's being written?
The band's been an opportunity for me to stretch out. In my other bands, I was writing music and lyrics and following my idol Pete Townsend and trying to do everything. With this band, Gary was covering a lot of ground, and he was writing music, he was writing lyrics. So when he started just doing lyrics, I started to explore a little more on the guitar, and I wasn't worried about singing and playing at the same time. I wasn't worried about lyrics or melodies or anything. So I was able to let loose and find a couple riffs that I think if I was trying to sing over them while I was writing them, I might have inhibited my riffs.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd hand him riffs, and he would sing on beats that I didn't intend for him to sing on, and I would just bite my lip and let it happen in the practice room, and I ended up liking stuff. He'd flip things upside down. So I saw it all happening, and I realized that this was a huge learning experience for me to not, to leave things open-ended and let, I think the best stuff is written in the practice room. It's so easy to stay at home with your recording, software and be a one-man band.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, the best stuff is when you're in there with the bass, drums, and you're trying stuff, and the arrangement's too long, and the intro's too long, and you hit a couple mistakes, and you end up keeping the mistakes and get rid of the stuff you intended.
Sure.
I'm sorry for talking your ear up,
No, it's
but
okay.
rock and roll Cliché. I had a handful of riffs for that song, and most of them made the song. But there's a riff right before the solo that I thought was the greatest riff ever written, and that was the main part of the song. And as we were working on the practice room, it kept getting reduced to, okay, let's just do this at the intro and the end, but that's it.
Right.
And it kept it kept getting filtered out with the consensus of the band. And it ended up just appearing once right before I used it as a little pre-solo. But that little, if you ever listen to the song, right before the solo, there's a little guitar break. That was like the main riff. And it got booted almost completely if I didn't fight for it. That stuff. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and now every time you hear that song, that's all you think about, right?
Yeah, every time. You know it. That's my favorite part of the song. But no, I like the main riff. But the main riff, and it was actually, I think, the second riff I wrote for the song. But it was better than the first one, and so it took over the song.
Sure. Definitely. Now, how does the creative process work for you guys? Does it start with you, or does it start with Gary having lyrics, or a little bit of both, or does it change with each song, or what?
It's been every way. It's been Gary starting lyrics. It's been a riff that I was jamming with Dana, and he walked downstairs and heard us playing. Joe wrote on this album. Just got some great music on this album. He did Sing a Song with Gary. He did Walk Away with Gary. This is stuff I would walk into when they had demoed it. As well as co-wrote a bunch of songs on the album. So this one was different than the first. The first was a lot of me showing Gary a riff on tape and him having lyrics the next week. This one was every way you can think about it. Joe starting a song, me starting a song, Gary writing music and lyrics for Hello, I Must Be Going.
Mm-hmm.
So this one was fun. It was definitely a four-man machine at this point.
Excellent. So what are you guys' expectations for Retrogrenade? In today's world, I don't imagine that it's selling 3 million copies of it, but what kind of expectations do you have as far as developing a fan base and getting the word out there and moving forward as a band?
Well, nowadays with social media and internet and videos and YouTube, our goal is what it was a long time ago, but now we got the internet, is just to get the exposure, to get the music to as many people as possible, and get it into their ears. And if they want to download it, buy the CD, or listen to it on Spotify, or for free, stream it. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, if someone's listening to one of our songs, I'm pretty happy. But yeah, our goal is just to get it out to everybody. And lucky to have Gary in the band. He's got a far-reaching network with Extreme and Van Halen fans. So we're pretty lucky to have him, high-profile guy in the band.
Sure. Let me ask you a somewhat personal one. It's sort of Van Halen related, but it's more you and Gary related, I think. Not a secret at all that Van Halen 3 was pretty largely panned and heavily criticized and what have you. And for right or wrong, Gary took a lot of that heat. I think as time has gone on, it's proven out that Eddie was in just a weird place when he was writing the record, which made it kind of an odd record. I'm curious for you as Gary's brother, though, when he left Van Halen and given all the fallout that was going on at that time, what kind of mood or spirit was he in, and how do you as his brother convince him, hey, man, nothing is bad. You just, you were just in the biggest band in the world. It just didn't work out. And you still have, a career in music and talent and all that other stuff. Because outside looking in, you have to assume he came back depressed.
I don't remember depressed. I'm sure he wasn't happy about it, but and obviously he's the guy to answer that better than me. I didn't see him moping around. I think he before I saw him moping, he was halfway through the Tribe of Judah album.
Okay.
He really just gets to work. And that's probably why Hurtsmile came about, because he didn't want to sit around and wait, and he just wanted to write songs and, just work. So, I remember he came home from Van Halen and showing me about 3 songs from the Tribe of Judah album that he had demoed.
Okay.
And I'm like, wow, this is wild. This is totally different, you know. So he was really just getting to work on the next thing. I'm sure he had a weekend where he was wondering what he's going to do.
Sure.
And you know, but once he teamed up with the Tribe of Judah guys, he got excited, and that album's tremendous. I mean, there's so much in that album. His lyrics are incredible on that album. He's inspired me as a musician, as a performer. You can imagine no better big brother to have if you want to be a musician.
Right.
But the way he handled the Van Halen thing was a learning experience, because he was getting, you know, when he was in the band, people were criticizing him and giving him the finger, and just, you know, they just wanted Dave, they just wanted Sammy so bad. And I never heard him lash out and said, well, or take a shot at Dave or Sammy. I don't think you'll find anywhere in Ink or radio or anything where he ever took a shot at anybody.
Right.
And I couldn't believe he was just taking abuse and not saying anything back. But he took the high road the whole time. And when he was out of the band, he got to work on his next thing. So that was a learning experience for me. You know, in this band, if you know, I know there's a lot of Extreme fans that come and love Nuno as I do.
Sure.
But I'm not Nuno.
Right.
So, but I got to stand in that side of the stage and with the Nuno fans in front of me. But so far, no one's given me the finger. I'm waiting for that.
Not yet, exactly. Well,
it's coming. It's coming.
Well, Mark, what are your tour plans for, I guess, the rest of this year and or 2015 with Hurtsmile? You guys going to get a chance to get out there for a while, or what?
Yeah. I hope it's in the. I know Extreme's booking some stuff, so we always respectfully work around their schedule. And Gary's been great. I don't know how he does it, because he's really kind of doing both bands at the same time. Last tour, you know, he was able to concentrate on just Hurtsmile, but this time he's got 2 things going on. We're just booking shows. I want to say the spring, but I'm going to put my foot in my mouth because I think Extreme just booked some stuff in the spring. But yeah, our plan is the same as it was before, to, you know, maybe do some fly-ins and reach as many markets as we can, America and outside America as well.
Sure. Well, Mark, what am I missing that you want people to know about Hurtsmile?
No, I think you got it right. No, the album, we're psyched about the album. I love it. You know, it's a great listen, and some of my good friends have given us some good compliments. So I'm pretty happy with it. And I can't wait to play out live and play some of these songs live, because they're really, like I said, they're written in the practice room, not in the studio, and they're definitely built to be played live.
Excellent. Well, Mark, before I let you go, since you are a first-timer on the show, I have to ask you what is known as the traditional classic metal show question. It has nothing to do with Hurtsmile at all, but most people seem to have an answer to it, so I'll ask you, and you may or you may not. How has Lemmy from Motorhead influenced your career?
You know, I'll be honest and tell you, I don't know Lemmy inside and out, maybe like I should, to my shame. But the little I know about him, he's a great, he's another inspiration. He's just keeps his head down and works as far as rocking out. So he's an inspiration in that way. But I'm a light on Motorhead. I don't know my Motorhead as well as I should.
Fair enough. Well, Mark, the thing you do know is Hurtsmile. The new record is called Retrograde, and as a tradition on the show, Mark, we always let the artist pick a closing track from the record and maybe tell us a story about. So what would you like to wrap this interview up with?
That's a good question. You played Anymore, so let me think quickly, Mark, quickly. How about Big Government?
All right, and why that one?
It's the longest one, so we're going to be on your show for a longer period of time. But Big Government, you know, a bunch of big fat riffs, you know, another collaboration with Joe and Gary and me and Dana, and it's just a lot of crap going on in that song, so I like that one.
All right, well, let's check it out right now. This is Hurtsmile, and the tune is called Big Government, right here on your Classic Metal Show.